Are you a DIYer trying to add track lighting to either under your cabinets, underneath your bed, or a plethora of other types of lighting situations that require a thin LED strip? You're in the right place. Hello, I'm Wanderer001 and this is my review of the Wyze Light Strip Pro 32.8 feet LED light strip. I ended up selecting the 32-foot version because I figured you can snip these to size. And what I can say is Wyze is actually not selling a 32-foot length of LED light strips. They're actually selling two 16 feet light strips, and that's how you get your 32 feet. So just in case you're like me and wanted a long light strip, you're not getting that, you're getting two separate ones. Quick look at what is in the box aside from our two LED light strips, and I've already gone through here. So we're gonna put some stuff aside. You have your quick start guide over there. You have a set of wet wipes or alcohol wipes so that you can kind of prep your surface. So you've got wipe 1, wipe 2, wipe 1, wipe 2, and that's again because you get two strips of LEDs, and then you get some helpful mounting clips that are double backed and plastic for your Wyze Light Strip Pro. So we're gonna take a quick moment to open up the one that I actually haven't opened up to give you an idea of what you're getting when you first do this. There you go. Comes in a nice film reel to wind it up. I will say, because the Wyze Light Strip Pro here, and we'll zoom in on that a little bit, has an epoxy coating. I'll show you a little later. There's an epoxy coating over the LED strip itself. So when you first open this, it off-gases really bad. Like you will actively notice that there's a odor when you open these up. My recommendation would be to actually keep the film reel, plastic film reel that it's on, because if you noticed, if you're not gonna put these in place and you're just testing them and moving them around, you can kind of see where I was doing really good winding it up and then where I just ended up giving up before coming back to do the review. So it does come nicely neat. You'll notice you have your plug right there, and your Wyze Light Strip Pro also comes with a dual thread, because here is our actual control box, and then down here we have our power brick. And you'll notice that on the control box itself it has double back tape. And we're going to talk about the control box and the light strip as soon as we get things plugged in. The Wyze Light Strip Pro here can be, as I stated before, controlled by the actual control box after you get things plugged in. And right over here we got a plug, and then the other side has a plug right there. But because it is a Wyze product, you can also control the Wyze Light Strip Pro by using the Wyze app. But that means there's a setup process. So let's take a quick diversion to see what the setup process for the Wyze Light Strip Pro looks like. This will be the setup process for the Wyze Light Strip Pro. To start, you open your Wyze application in the upper left-hand corner, select the plus sign, and then select Add a device. In this case, we're going to say power and lighting, and here is our Wyze Light Strip Pro. We're going to select that, and we're going to begin the installation process, or we can skip the setup right there, but we're going to say begin installation. So it's actually going to walk you through all the steps needed to install. So the installation process is slightly different than the setup process. So if you don't need all of this extra information, you can skip it and then go to plugging it in. Now, we're gonna put my phone aside because we actually have to take the wall wart and plug it into the controller box here, and then plug the controller box into our light strip. So we're gonna do that very quickly. This in, and then take one of our two leads here and plug it into our adapter here. You'll notice if I bring this closer and get it to focus, there's actually a little bump on the top that lines up with the bump on top of that. We take the two, put them together, and there you can see it's now blue. We are supposed to wait 7 seconds to see if it starts pulsing blue. Now, might be a little difficult to see on camera, but that is actually pulsing blue. We're gonna shift that over to the side right there. Bring this back into frame, so yes, it is pulsating blue. We're gonna select next, after which it's going to want us to jump onto our network. So I'm just going to tell it this is my network, and then it's searching for the Wyze strip over there, and it's giving me a MAC address, so I'm gonna say yes, that's it. And then what it's doing over here is trying to connect the Wyze Light Strip Pro there to my Wyze account. And there you go, it actually did it. Green means it's good to go. It is picked up by my Amazon Echo, and we can name this. So I'm just gonna leave it at Light Strip 1 and select Finish Naming. Congratulations, you earned a badge for coming in early. We'll come up to the top, select the light strip. As always, there is a firmware. We're gonna upgrade that and select Update Now. Time is 5:29. We'll see how long that actually takes to update. Okay, the update took all of 2 minutes. When it was processing, that blinked on and off once, and that let you know it was good. So we're gonna select Done, and here's a little tutorial about your new Wyze Strip Pro there. Press and hold to select individual, next, next, and finish. So that's everything for the setup of the Wyze Light Strip Pro. As you saw there, actually setting it up, really easy, and I kind of like leaving it in the film reel there. But if you're going to control your Light Strip Pro via the control box here, it's very simple. Tap turns it on. Quick taps will cycle through different color variations. There is a button on the side with a microphone that allows you to change it where it will react to sound. This is a pre-programmed one that I set up myself, but you can tap and it will change which sound setting it uses. And if I tap that again, you'll get a different one. Balled up like this, it is a little hard to see each of those unique sound profiles. So we'll just bring it back over to here. But when we talk about the app, I'll actually show you a little better of what some of those sound profiles look like. And we're just gonna try and find a color that's gonna show up reasonably well on camera. So we're gonna go with this red, and I'm gonna bring this up towards the camera to talk about what we have. As I mentioned before, the light strip itself has an epoxy coating on it. The light strip also, right here, can be cut to length. So you'll have 3 LED nodes per segment that you can cut. You can also use that to help change particular color areas. One of the big things with the Light Strip Pro over the regular light strip is that you can have multiple colors on a single light strip. You can see in the background there, right now I have it set for everything's the same color, but when I had it over in the talking version, you can see that it's pulsating green and red. That's because I set it up where it would do that. So that's one thing that you can have with this that you can't have with the non-Light Strip Pro, aside from that epoxy coating. You get those multiple colors per LED strip. And part of that, you get 16 million color combinations. I mean, it's pretty good. I don't know if you're necessarily getting 16 million, and it might be a little hard to show on camera because I keep trying to show this. Each LED here has an RGB light to it. That's how they're mixing and matching their colors. I'll try and put a screenshot here of what it looks like. Because of that, you get better color range. It's not perfect, but you do get better color range because you get RGB mixing instead of individual unique LED bulbs. Now, one thing to consider is life expectancy for something like this. And because they're LEDs, Wyze says you're gonna get about 25,000 hours. So for most, you won't have to worry. The majority of the cool things that you can do with the Wyze LED Strip Pro here is all done through the app, and also a better showing of what the color profiles are, as well as some of the music themes that you can do. So why don't we take this moment to look at the app for the Wyze Light Strip Pro. This will be the app portion for the Wyze Light Strip Pro. Here you can see the main Wyze screen when you first log in to your Wyze app. Over here you will see that I have other Wyze products, but at the top here I have my Light Strip Pro. You have a simple on-off button. Toggling this will change the color and let you know that you have turned on and off your light strip. Selecting the actual light strip area will bring you into the actual settings area for the light strip. Here at the top you can see I have my light strip and then a plus symbol. Both of my light strips connected, and then I can actually use this right here in order to create a group. Now, I don't have both of them connected at this time, so I only have the one, but you do see right here, it does indicate what it is. Here there's a little picture, which might be a little hard to see, but if I toggle this right here, which is an on-off button with a light slider, so brighter, less light, this icon right here lights up, and you'll notice it might be a little tricky to see, but there is a little music sign next to that. If I select this light strip, you can see that you can, if you press and hold on your light strip, you can see that you actually have segments. And what this is, it's a little kind of snake thing. So you can select specific areas that you would want to light up and then close. And what that'll do is that is just going to affect those targeted areas. Now, if you tap it on and off like I did, that's going to target everything. And I'll show you a little later what that looks like on the actual light strip itself. Most of the stuff on this screen is better shown with the light strip. So why don't I pause the tabletop portion to show you what all of this looks like with the light strip. We're gonna start on the design wheel here. This is a color wheel that you can select any color on the wheel that you want. There's lots of in-between colors, which is really great. The one thing I wish they would do is allow you to click and drag the color wheel like they do with their Wyze bulbs. I would love to be able to drag the wheel to a different color. But you can see right here, as I showed before, brightness increasing, brightness decreasing, and when you get to about 1%, some of these other modes will turn off. Quick toggle on and off right there, on and off. You can see that as I've been changing the color on the color wheel, the actual LED strip icon also changes, which is kind of cool. If we scroll down, we have our swatches, which are, the color swatches for this area. We can select edit and change any of our swatches that we don't like. What we're gonna do now is I'm gonna swipe it over because here's our warm, bright, this is our normal Kelvin style light wheel. What we're gonna do now is come over to scene, and just like our scene with the Wyze color bulbs, the more light strips that you have, the more color variants that you'll get. So I was setting up one for Christmas, and you'll notice that it's not here because I don't have enough light strips in order to do this. But you do have color scenes down here, energize, gaming, movie night, and then different colors right there. The more interesting one is right here, which is music. And right here you could see I set up for the festive holidays with red and green right there. And this is shadow, and it will show you sensitivity, low to high. It also has auto coloring down here in the bottom, which is why it's selecting just those two colors as opposed to a bunch of other colors. If I show you what I did for auto color, I just selected two colors. Now, right now it's just staying on green, but we're gonna slap that back on to have my red-green motif. We're gonna show you what lens looks like, so we're gonna bring that over, let it load. That's what lens looks like as far as a color change goes based on my voice. That's actually leap, my apologies. You have options for each of these. Whole, which would be the whole light strip. As you see, it's changing the color of the whole light strip, as opposed to circulation, which is gonna do portions of the light strip. And again, sensitivity right up there. We're gonna come over to flicker. I wish they'd let you drag it, but they make you click on it. And here we got whole, subsections, and circulation. So if I change that to circulation, that's what that looks like. I'm gonna bring it up to subsections, which is what that looks like. And then whole, once again, just to give you an idea. And keep in mind, these are the colors that I put in place. We're gonna come over to marquee, right there, marquee. So as you see, look at that. We're talking, marquee is moving, and it's kind of swimming along there. And that's gathered. If we did straight, this is what straight would look like. Notice it changed the color. And I do have the sensitivity set to high. And we're gonna do depressive now. So what does that look like? Well, here we go. It's actually going in the opposite direction, and colors are changing a little more. And my cat just kind of came into frame because he is very interested now. We're gonna do color focus next, which is right there, color focus. There you go, you have color focus. It's got a little dancing to it, as you can see right there. But as I talk, it brightens all that up. And that is with gathered. If I did straight, this is what straight would look like. And this is our last option for this. Next, we're gonna come over to water, right there, water. Here's what water would look like. Notice it progressively moves as I speak along the LED light strip. That's gathered. If we do straight, here we go, straight. Similar, but notice the color is slightly changing as it moves along now. And we're gonna do our last option right here. Test, test, 1, 2, test, test, 3, 4. Notice it's moving in the opposite direction. we're going to come over to C Wave, and here we go, C Wave. Notice as I talk, depending on the sensitivity, is how far it goes. So if I lower the sensitivity, you'll notice that I have to speak a little more loudly in order for that to get picked up. We're gonna bring that all the way over, and you kind of get an idea of what the options right here are. So we're just gonna skip over those and move over to Shooting Star. And here is our Shooting Star. So it kind of gives you a nice idea of what Shooting Star is. We're gonna move over to Starlight, which is our last option in the app right here. Starlight is a twinkling of color along the LED strip. So Starlight looks like this, and notice the color changes as it goes along. What I had it on originally for the purposes of my Christmas usage was this one right here, because I kind of liked having the red and green on opposite sides. Now, what I'm going to do is pop back over, put that to red, and then I'm gonna press and hold on my LED strip here to show you that if I start changing specific areas, that this is one way that you'd be able to change the color. So hypothetically, I want this, and that one be green. Press and hold, and you can see that I've got blue, I've got red, I've got green, and I've got a light strip behind me that allows me to have all of those multiple color areas, which is really nice, and why you would like to use the Wyze app to do this, because LED Strip Pro lets you have multiple colors along the same LED strip. This is actually something I didn't figure out until much later, so press and hold, and that will give you access to pick the particular quadrants that you want to have your colors with. Coming back to the upper right hand corner here, if we select this, this is actually our settings menu for the light strip itself. Up here you have your device name. You can change that to whatever you'd like. We're gonna hit cancel because I just have that as Light Strip 2 or Light Strip 1. Right here you have your device icon giving you an idea of what things that you can use your light strip for. Under a computer, TV set, behind TV, couch, bed, there's a lot of things that you can do with this. We're just gonna leave it at what it is. You have a sleep routine. So you have a wake up routine and a bedtime routine. What that will do is gradually, if you select the wake up routine, gradually increase the color to a brightness that will wake you up. And then you have duration, time set, days of the week, lots of functionality here. And then you have bedtime. So if you want to dim the lights as you're going to bed, same principle, duration, time, and then days of the week. And then there's no how bright you want to get it, because it's going to be dimming the lights no matter what you have them set at. I'm not going to set that. We're going to come back to our scenes, and I set up one particular scene. This is an Xmas scene. Now the scene itself, if I select update, you can change the name here, and that's kind of it, because over here, this is the scene. If I want to delete this scene, I come over and I hit that red line, red circle with the line, and that will get rid of the scene. You have your timer. So timer, you can select timer on, how long for it to turn on, and then timer off, same principle, how long until it turns itself off. Vacation mode, this will turn on and off the LED strip at a random pattern to kind of make it seem like somebody's actually home. Sun match, if we select sun match, what this will do is change the color hue of the light bulbs to match the outdoor lighting. So you'll get a warmer light in the evenings and a brighter white light when the sun is out. We're gonna turn that off. Here's one that I am grateful that they have, that Wyze has included even with the LED strip itself, which is power loss recovery. If power is lost to the LED strip, what happens when it turns back on? When power is restored. If you have your Wyze LED light strip on and the power is lost, and then you get power restored at 3 o'clock in the morning, most other companies, that light strip will just come on. Here, you have maintain previous state. So if that light strip was on, it'll come back on. But if that light strip was off, then at 3 o'clock in the morning, that light strip will return to an off state. This is a great feature, and one of the things that I'm happy Wyze added even in this. Here you have your area to select rules, which would be setting up specific rules. So if you have other Wyze products, you can set it up where your Wyze Cam version 3 see somebody come into frame, all your LEDs turn on and you can select a color. Sharing, this is if you want to share that device with a person, they will need their own Wyze account, and then you just select share user, you put in their user information. Device info, just like it sounds, is going to give you all the information about the Wyze LED strip. And then Wyze support, again, is built in. And then down here we have delete device. So if you want to get rid of your Wyze LED strip, this is how you'd be able to do it. This has been a look at the LED strip portion of the Wyze app. Hopefully the app and my video there gave a little better example of colors, because this really isn't great for showing you the colors. I did neglect to mention that on the back there is 3M tape. So you do not have to use the hooks that came in the box if you just want to directly mount this to something. Likewise, the control box has 3M tape on the back of it as well. Now, one thing that nobody else talked about in all the other reviews of this that I saw was power usage. Well, it's an electronic device, it plugs in, it's connected to your Wi-Fi at all times. That means there's a power usage with this. And running several different tests, if it is idling, meaning everything is turned off and it's just connected to your Wi-Fi, it uses 5.2 watts of power. If we cycle to the red bulbs, because those are the ones I figured would use the least amount of power, at 50%, they use 10.1 watts of power. At 100%, they use 14.7 watts of power. And if you cycle it to white, which I'm going to see if I can do very quickly, a white color, which isn't exactly pure white because it's blending those RGB bulbs to get, it uses 17.6 watts of power. So if you're using any variation of color, they tend to be the same power usage except for white. Keep that in mind depending on what you're getting this for. Now, another thing to consider again is, well, do they get warm? And again, depending on color that you're using, they can get a little warm to the touch, but you don't have to worry so much, as you can see me squishing them here, because they have that epoxy coating. They keep the heat down. Now, if this sounds like something that you find interesting, the next question is, well, how much does this cost? Well, price can vary based on availability and where you get it. Right now, you're looking to spend about $50 for the 32-foot version, which actually contains two 16-foot LED strips. You can do a lot with 16-foot strips of LED lights. I really threw them up around my window for Christmas, as you saw, and realistically, I could do that again next year if I wanted to and spread it out. My one problem that I had is I wish that they would have given you two controllers instead of mounting everything into one, because I have two separate strips. They're kind of stuck together because they need the control box. One little caveat to think about. Other than that, Wyze has always been good about producing quality products at a low price point. So if you've been looking for a cheap way to check out LED light strips for yourself, I would suggest checking out the Wyze Light Strip Pro, especially if you want to have multiple colors in a single light strip. With that being said, I have been Wanderer001. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to leave them in the area below. And as always, thanks for watching. If you found this video helpful, consider giving it a like, as that will help other people find the video as well. If you like what I'm doing here, you can always help fuel the next review by buying me a coffee, link in the description below. Last but not least, if you want to be notified when I upload a new video, you know what to do.